Hey guys, Ozzy here. How's it going? It is Friday, and it is time for me to shoot a video about my Oz opinions. So, I thought today we would talk about an anime that I just watched probably for the 10th or 11th time. Um, I really like this particular anime, and it's actually pretty popular, but it only ever got one season. There's always rumors that there's going to be another season, and you always hear it joked about anyone who's into anime. It's called No Game, No Life. And there's a lot of humor to it. There's a lot of very raunchy comedy, but it's a really good anime. It's really not meant for kids for sure, but it is a very fun watch. You have these this brother and sister who are a team on video games. They play video games like continuously. That's their entire life. It's Sora and Shiro. Sora is the bigger brother. He's 18, and Shiro is 11. We never actually told Sora's name, but Shiro is said to be 11, and he's at one point it's spoken in the thing saying that he's 7 years older. So 11 plus 7 is 18. Simple math, not that hard to figure out. So they're like the top ranked players in the world, and it's just two of them, but they play like four characters at a time, and nobody knows. They never put their name in, and they always leave it blank, so everybody just calls them blank, and they don't know who it is. They assume it's these four people. They don't realize it's just two people playing four people. And what happens is they get this mysterious invitation to play a game. So they decide to follow the link and play, and they end up playing a game of chess. They get asked some questions about how they would feel if the world was based on the rules of games, and based on their answers and how they play the game, they're all of a sudden transported to another world by this god of games. Into a world that's run by the rules of games. You have to make gambles. There's no violence allowed. You have to gamble, and if you win the game, whatever you bet is given to the other person, and vice versa if they lose. And you have to bet the same. You have to agree to betting the same amount of everything. So it's all these almost very much like a religious dogma set down. And if you've seen the newer show on Netflix called Kikaguri, it's kind of like how that school is run, but on a planet-wide scale. So I wonder if Kikaguri got the idea originally from No Game, No Life, because they do have that school set up, but No Game, No Life had that for the entire world set. And what our characters do is they come upon a town, and they need to help this. They try to help this girl that they see who's playing. She's trying to play for the role to become the king of their race of people. And one of the tenets, it states that you can't cheat, and our protagonists, Blank, see that the other people are cheating. The one who's the king's daughter, her name is Stephanie Dola, we find out. Stephanie is playing against this other person, and that person is cheating by having help. And our protagonists see it, and inform her and then walk away, and then that's how the relationship between her and um, Sora starts, because now she feels like he should have pointed it out, and she attacks, she goes after them um, later that evening when they're in their room alone, and that's how they get into playing these games. So basically what happens is our two protagonists, Sora and Shiro, end up playing games to try to better their status in the world. And when they find out that they can play a game to become king, they decide to do that. They figure that the whole reason that they're brought here is so they can play against Tet, and the best way they can do that is by playing as much as possible and gaining as much power as possible. So they decide to help Steph, but what they don't tell her is they're going to be the ones to take the title of king. So they end up playing the game, they end up winning, and then they become the king, and they start finding out the backstory of humanity, which is the race that is humans in that world, and they start finding out about all the different races and what has gone on in this place in the past, and how everything became how it is now, how all these other kingdoms have all this power, and humanity is so small it's almost close to being wiped out. Having its own lands and everything would be at the beck and call of every other race, kind of not having its own place ever. So it's a very interesting plot that they go with. So it's how do you take power back, being such a small race? How do you do that? So these two people from another world have this way about them. They can play these games a lot different than other people. So they're starting to see that they're winning. All their people are seeing they're winning. They're getting very popular and everything. And at one point, they've gained a good deal of knowledge. They've played against a Flugel, who is another higher race. It's a 6th class race, whereas humanity's like the lowest class. There's 16 classes, humanity's 16. And our protagonists, Blank, have taken on a Flugel and won, and are now seen in a better light. They're getting better and better. They have the assistance. They're learning more and more of the past, and they want to take on the War Beasts over in another kingdom, and Sora wants to set all that up so that they can take them on and move their ranking up. So he goes and he issues a challenge to them, and unfortunately what happens is he finds out that it's a video game that he has to play against them. No one knows. They've kept beating humanity. Humanity's played them 8 times, and they kept beating humanity every time, and there's no reason why they should have. So because they should have learned after a few times that they can't beat them, so they should have stopped. So why keep playing unless you're trying to learn something? But every time you lose, supposedly the mind is erased, so you don't remember about the games, so that there's no way to have foreknowledge of it next time. You just know that you lost. You don't know what game you played or how you lost or how the other team won anything. No other further information. So it's very odd. It's very taxing. So Shiro and Sora decide to try to find out why everybody has been losing and why there's no information. So they start looking into why the king would go time after time from the standpoint of a gamer. And they realize that he somehow left some clues behind for people to figure out so they could go and win this game. So they look into it and they find a secret diary, and it's now time, and they take on the werebeasts, and it's a video game, they find out. They didn't know, no one on the planet knew what a video game was, but the werebeasts had them somehow. And the video game simulation is actually like Japan. So this should be perfect for our protagonists because that's where they're from, but we find them curled up in balls because they don't want to be out in reality back home. And then when they're, when they tell them that they're not in reality, they're actually out in a video game, they finally wake up and they strategize and they make a plan, and they end up winning. And what happened is they had bet their humanity's race piece, and what the race piece is a little piece that looks like a chess piece. So each race has their own piece. There's a total of 16 races, so there's 16 pieces, which is one half of a chessboard. If they collect all 16 race pieces, they can then take on God or Tet and play him. So that's their ultimate goal. So now they have two race pieces because they bet theirs, so the werebeasts had to bet theirs. So now both race pieces are in Amanity's hands. And unfortunately, that is where the anime ends. That's the end of the first season, and we should have gotten more because this is an amazing anime. The references in it, I mean, the first time I watched this anime, I hadn't seen JoJo, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but I have since, and I did notice there's a JoJo reference in this anime. There's a lot of crude humor, which is good for the older people watching it. There are some things that are a little bit cringe as you're watching it, but it's an anime. It's supposed to be a suspension of disbelief anyways. I mean, how many times have you traveled to a video game world or into a different dimension or something like that? Who knows? Maybe some of you guys out there have. I don't know. I've never done it personally. So anyways, guys, if you haven't already, please go down to the bottom and click that thumbs up like button. And if you're not already a subscriber, please click that subscribe icon. And if you are already a subscriber, thank you for coming back. And also, if you would go down, because you did both those things, would you find that notification icon and click on that so you get notified anytime I upload new content. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a great day. And I'll talk to you guys later. Ozzy out. Bye.